And the parietal lobe, we finished off the parietal lobe, and the last topic of the last segment was hemi-neglect syndrome, right? Hemi-neglect syndrome. There was one point I missed to mention that point. Like the hemi-neglect syndrome was, it was due to the non-dominant hemisphere lesion. Like in majority of the population, it is the right-sided cerebral hemisphere. So the person won't be aware about the left half of the body. It means all the sensory modalities from the left half of the body, they are working fine, but the issue is interpretation of all those modality. They are working perfectly fine. Issue is perception of these interpretation, perception of these sensory modality. So the person is not interpreting all these incoming sensory reception through this modality of the entire one half of the body, the left side of the body. So one point that I missed is, if you ask the person to draw a diagram of any object, he or she will just draw the one half, the right half of the image. Say if you ask the person to draw a wall clock, that person will draw the wall clock like up to this much, this half, right half, 12 and to 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all these things, but this part will be missing, this part will be missing. So that is regarding the hemi-neglect. Now starting with the today's topic. The today's topic is, we will continue further from the parietal to temporal lobe. Temporal lobe. Okay. So in the temporal lobe, we know, if we draw the diagram, that rough sketch, like say this is the frontal, this part was, say, again excuse my this bad drawing, right. So this was the lateral sulcus, okay, and this was the central sulcus, this was going back. So this part, this part is the temporal lobe, okay, temporal lobe. Now in the case of the temporal lobe, the major areas are, one is primary auditory area, primary auditory area, and this one is primary auditory area. This is area number 41 and 42, these two areas, okay, this area number 41 and 42. Then there is, like there were visual area, then there were the association area, higher association area. Similarly, there is auditory association areas, okay, association areas, and these areas are area number 22, 21 and 20, mainly 22. This is the major, most important out of these all auditory association areas. Area number 22. Area number 22 is also known as Wernicke area. Wernicke area. Okay, so we will discuss about, like we have learnt about the Broca's area. This is the Wernicke's area. This is also related to the speech. So in the next class, I will take the class on the language and speech. So in that part, we will discuss in detail about Wernicke's and Broca's. A bit of the Wernicke I will mention in today's lecture too, but in proper detail, the speech and language, there will be a separate class, the next class only, the language and speech. So in that class, we will discuss about the Broca's and Wernicke's area. So coming back to this one, the primary auditory area. Now this primary auditory area, this is the sensory area, or we can say all the auditory afferents, they will end in this area, area number 41 and 42. So that's why it is also known as all these afferents will end, or the primary auditory areas. That's why this is also known as auditory or audiosensory area, audiosensory area, audio sensory or auditory sensory area, audiosensory area. So this is center for hearing, this is center for hearing. That is one point regarding the auditory area. Second, where exactly it is located? It is located at this point, at the superior say this is the superior temporal gyrus, upper margin, like if I try to draw the diagram this way, superior temporal gyrus, upper margin of the superior temporal gyrus. Okay. So, that is in the middle part, like say if this much is the temporal gyrus up to this one, among the superior temporal gyrus upper margin, the middle part, this part. Okay. So, this is one area number 41, and area number 42, that is also present nearby this one. So, if we remove this part, like say this lateral sulcus is there, if we move this part upside and this part downward, then in the deep inside this one, there is one more gyrus, that is called as transverse temporal gyrus, or the other name is, this is also known as, after the scientist, the Hazel's gyrus. Okay, Hazel's gyrus. So, this area number 41 and 42, they are located in first the middle of the upper margin of superior temporal gyrus and deep inside the transverse temporal gyrus, deeper aspect. Okay. Now, because this is the audiosensory area, what are the afferents to this area? The afferents are the auditory radiation, that is the most important, the auditory radiation afferent, that will be coming from the medial geniculate body, and you know the medial geniculate body is the part of thalamus, because the thalamus is the gateway for all the sensory modalities that are entering into the cerebral cortex. It will pass through the thalamus. So, the auditory sensation, they are passing through this nucleus of the thalamus. So, from the medial geniculate body, that is one. Then the second nucleus, then one more nucleus of the thalamus, that is the pulvinar nucleus of the thalamus. When we will read about the thalamus and hypothalamus, then we will discuss in the detail about these things and the different nuclei. So, pulvinar and medial geniculate body, these afferents are coming to the primary auditory area number 41 and 42. Now, the efferent from this area, the one part of the efferent is, it will go back to the medial geniculate body to the pulvinar, and then one more thing, that is the superior colliculus. So, afferents are two, medial geniculate body and pulvinar. Efferents from this area are three, the same two, medial geniculate body, pulvinar, and the third is superior colliculus. So, all these areas or all these regions of the brain, they are linked with primary auditory area. Now, what is the function of the primary auditory area? The function is, it perceives the nerve impulse, as sound. So, whatever we are hearing, that any particular sound, that is sensed within this primary auditory area or audiosensory area number 41 and 42. So, all the auditory information of this particular sound, and what are those auditory information? Like in the special senses, we will read in detail about these things. The loudness of a particular sound, then the pitch, whether it is high pitch or the low pitch, then about the source, from where it is coming, that is the source, and the direction. These four aspects of a particular sound. Loudness, how loud it is, what is the pitch, low or high, source, if it is coming from this side, say this is the brain. So, if it is coming from this side, that will be the direction, the left side, and source, how far or how near it is. So, all these auditory informations, they are sensed via the primary auditory area, audiosensory area, right. Now, coming to the second part is auditory association areas. These are area number 22, area number 21 and 20. So, area number 22, I said, like the area 22 is also known as Wernicke's area, and this is also known as sensory speech area. If you can recall back, Broca's area was called as motor speech area. This one is called as sensory speech area. It means, and this Wernicke's area, the area number 22 and sensory speech area, this area 22 of dominant or the categorical hemisphere only, not the non-dominant. Similar to the Broca's, the categorical or dominant hemispheres area number 22 is called as Wernicke's area. Okay. What is the function of this Wernicke's area? The function is interpretation of meaning of what is heard. Like whatever you are hearing now, you are understanding this thing because you have read about this thing, you know about this thing, then you are able to understand the meaning of each and every word. You are able to interpret the meaning of the word, what is heard, right. So, that is the function of area number 22 or Wernicke's area. The second area is the second function is the comprehension. You are understanding and comprehending any spoken language, comprehension of spoken language. Okay, comprehension of spoken language. The third function is it also helps in, see, like the Broca's area, that was the motor speech area. The person was able to verbalize anything, to speak anything. Broca's area was important. So, this Broca's area and Wernicke's area, they are interconnected with each other, and that those connecting fiber, they are called as arcuate fasciculus. So, I won't go into detail in today's lecture about these things, but to tell you, like Broca's area is responsible for speaking something, it is also helped by the Wernicke's area via this connection. So, the third function of the Wernicke's area is formation of the ideas, that is to be articulated, formation of idea that is to be articulated, and articulation is helped by Broca's area, right. So, this Wernicke's area, three functions, one is interpretation of meaning of what is heard, second is comprehension of the spoken language, third is formation of the idea that is to be articulated. So, that is the function of area number 22. Okay, area number 22. Now, this area 21 and 22 were also there, area number 21 and 20, they were also there in the association areas. This area 22, it is located, like say, where is that page? Say, if I try to do this thing, say we can say this part, say if I remove this part, say this one. So, this is area 41, 42 and the surrounding part, that is area number 22. So, area 22, it is located in the posterior part of the superior temporal gyrus, okay, superior temporal gyrus, and area number 21 is located in the middle temporal gyrus. Area 20 is located in the inferior temporal gyrus. All these three gyri, superior, middle, inferior, these auditory association areas are located. Now, the area 20 and area 21, they helps in interpretation and integration of the auditory impulses. See, the audiosensory area, primary auditory area is area number 41 and 42. They are mainly responsible for all the characteristic of the sound. Now, these association areas, they help, they receive the signal from 41 42 and they also send the signals back to the 41 42. So, they helps in interpretation and integration of whatever the auditory impulses are reaching over here. Okay. So, they help in interpretation and integration of the auditory impulses. Now, apart from these areas, there are other parts of the temporal gyrus. Like if we look at the inferior surface of the temporal gyrus, the olfactory bulb and all, they are also located over there. Then the hippocampus, the hippocampus, we will read about the hippo in detail about the hippocampus and amygdala, that will be the limbic system. Okay. So, but this is part of temporal gyrus and the amygdala. Okay, amygdala. The function of the hippocampus is to consolidate the short term memory into long term memory, short term memory into the long term memory, that is done by the hippocampus. Okay. So, if there is any lesion in the hippocampus, that will cause the memory problem, the issue with the memory, and this amygdala, this is concerned with the emotional behavior, emotional aspect of behavior. Okay.